Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I wanted to be talking about the Toronto Raptors. I think they've had an extremely disappointing season. I was really high on them coming into the season. I thought they could be a top 5, top 6 seed and just going to just build on their last season's success. But clearly that hasn't been the case. And with the trade deadline come up, a lot of rumors have come out about this team. If they're going to blow it up, are they going to move OG, Fred, Gary Trent Jr., what's going to happen in the offseason? And so I just wanted to go over some potential trade deadline moves they could make, some articles, and some just fan trades that people made up. So let's get right into it. And our first trade comes from Dan Favela of the Bleacher Report. In this deal, it would send Gary Trent Jr. to the New Orleans Pelicans for a deal centered around Jackson Hayes and a 2024 first-round pick, lottery protected, and also Devontae Graham to match salaries. From a Raptors perspective, I really don't want to do this trade. I think Gary Trent Jr. is an amazing player. I've been really high on him. I put a whole video talking about him and why I don't want us to trade him. Just to summarize that, I think he's an efficient 3-level scorer who has a lot of potential on the offensive end to continue grow. I think he's a willing passer and is able to move the ball and doesn't just like ball hog it. Jackson Hayes is a solid guy. I don't really think he does that much for us. I'd rather have Precious and Koloko develop. I think Jackson Hayes would still just be adding to our logjam at the center position. Guys who aren't super high potential guys, but still have solid potential. Devontae Graham is a nice guard, but I don't really think he does that much for us, and especially for moving Gary Trent Jr. I don't think Devontae Graham comes in and replace the type of value he provides. The 2024 first round pick is lottery protected, and that would turn into a 2024 and 2028 second round pick if it's not conveyed, and a Chicago 2024 second round pick, and I think both of those picks are pretty much useless. Yeah, we are a good drafting team, but those are pretty much a fake first round pick, and a 2024 second round pick doesn't do too much for us, and I don't think that really is equal value to what Gary Trent Jr. can bring. I know he's on an expiring deal, so it's hard to gauge that value, but I'm really high on him, and I would be very disappointed to see us make this move. Our second trade comes from Scott Rafferty of the Sporting News. It would send OG Anunoby to the Phoenix Suns for Jay Crowder, Cameron Johnson, a 2025 and a 27 unprotected first round pick. First, from the Phoenix Suns perspective, I think this is a pretty good trade. You get off Jay Crowder and get a valuable piece back in OG Anunoby. Cameron Johnson is a nice, valuable kind of young player, but OG's pretty much the same age as him and a better player and more versatile on the defensive end. You do give up 2 unprotected first round picks, but you still think you have a solid young core of Booker, Ayton, Bridges, and Anunoby by 25-27, so those picks wouldn't be too valuable. From the Raptors perspective, I don't really like this. I don't get why you would trade OG Anunoby for Drake Howard and Cameron Johnson. That'd be a pretty lateral move, I think, for the Raptors. Yeah, sure, you get 2 players instead of 1, but I think Drake Howard wouldn't really want to play for the Raptors. He seems like he wants to go play for a contender, and the Raptors currently aren't that. A 25 and 27 unprotected first round pick are definitely valuable because you never know what could happen to the Phoenix Suns by that point, but I don't think they're super exciting, and it's very likely that they could turn out to be late lottery to low 20 first round pick, and then you didn't really get that much for OG Anunoby. But I think it's a decent trade overall. I don't hate it for either side, but if I'm the Raptors, I'm definitely shopping at other people first before I come back to the Phoenix Suns and accept a deal like this. Maybe the Suns could throw in a second round pick. They don't really have that many promising young guys, so I don't really know how else they could really sweeten the deal besides more draft capital. And then I think once you start getting into 3 first round picks, then that deal starts getting kind of a little too pricey for the Phoenix Suns if I'm them. The next trade I want to talk about comes from the same article as the one before, and that would be sending OG Anunoby to the New York Knicks for Derrick Rose, Cam Reddish, and 3 unprotected first round picks being in 2029, 25, and 27. And while I really do like the draft capital in this pick, I think those in this trade, I think those picks could be valuable. I'm not really that high on those players. I think Cam Reddish is solid. I think Derrick Rose is solid, but I don't think they really add that much to this team, and I don't think either of them have a lot of potential or promise. Maybe we could turn Cam Reddish into something special, but I think that we could either also just get him in free agency, do it that way, and not have to give up OG. The 3 picks are really nice, but I would be a lot more inclined for this deal from the Raptors side if they were throwing a guy like Emmanuel quickly, even like a Jericho Sims or someone like that, just a younger rookie who I think has some potential. For the New York Knicks, I think this might be a slight overpay for OG. I'm really high on him. I don't know if he's worth 3 unprotected first round picks though. It's a lot of your future for a guy who's not even an all-star and potentially might never be one in his career. I do think it would definitely shore up their defense and add a lot of much needed 3-point shooting. I think he'd be a perfect Tibbs guy. He would be very switchable and be able to take a lot of those harder assignments, but he is inefficient on the offensive end, and while you already have RJ out there, I think that'd be tough to kind of balance a high level offense with those 2 guys. But I think for both teams this is a pretty solid trade, but I think the Raptors could get more in the way of young talent. For the last trade, as we just looked at 3 legitimate trades, I thought it'd be fun to look at a fan trade. This comes from a user on FanXpro, and it's a 4-team trade with the Timberwolves, the Sixers, the Suns, and the Raptors. First, the Timberwolves received Tobias Harris, the Sixers received Jay Crowder, Otto Porter Jr., Fred VanVleet, the Suns received Pascal Siakam, and the Raptors received D'Angelo Russell, DeAndre Ayton, a 2029 first-round pick from the Sixers, a 25, a 27, and a 23 first-round pick from the Suns, and a 2023 second-round pick from the Sixers via Atlanta, Charlotte, or Brooklyn. So first, let's talk about for the Timberwolves. They give up D'Angelo Russell and they get Tobias Harris. I don't really know what this does for them. I feel like that's kind of a nothing move. I feel like they don't really need another forward, and rolling D'Angelo Russell seems to fit better. For the 76ers, you get Jay Crowder, Otto Porter Jr., who hasn't played this year, and Fred VanVleet. You are giving up Tobias Harris and 2 first-rounder and a second-round pick. I think you're getting a pretty good deal here. You're essentially just getting off Tobias Harris money early. You're getting a good player in Fred VanVleet on an expiring deal, and Jay Crowder, who seems like he could be a solid wing. Otto Porter Jr. hasn't played this year, and he's out for the entire year, but you're only giving up a first-round pick and a second-round pick. The Suns get Pascal Siakam. I think that's solid. They're giving up DeAndre Ayton and 3 first-round picks, and the Raptors get D'Lo, DeAndre Ayton, first-round from the 76ers, and 3 first-round picks from the Suns, and the second-round pick from the 76ers. For the Raptors, I don't really think this works. Like, I don't know why you want D'Lo on an expiring deal. It's essentially there just to get the 76ers more stuff. I feel like DeAndre Ayton definitely could be fun, but I think this team's more invested in a guy like Precious Achiuwa at our 5 position. But, you know, DeAndre Ayton could work. Draft capital is definitely solid, but I think you could get 3 first-round picks for Pascal Siakam himself and a young player, which I guess is what you're getting from the Suns. And the Fred VanVleet, you're getting a solid first-round pick and a second-round pick. Maybe you could get a young player, but I think that's decent return. For the Sixers, good deal. For the Suns, I think it's a bit of an overpay. But yeah, I just thought that was more funny, and I think it's funny comparing the real trades versus the fake man ones, because I don't think this in any world this trade happens. I feel like teams, I feel like some fans don't realize that Otto Porter Jr. hasn't played at all. I don't know why the Timberwolves and the Sixers even really, like, I know why the Sixers get involved in this trade, but I don't really get why the Timberwolves get involved. It seems like they just got involved to make it work money-wise. But hey, I thought that was interesting, and thank you for listening to the video, and take it easy.